Welcome to HomeFront Sitrep. I hope you're in for a great show today, because I'm just a veteran talking about what's on my mind and maybe you.
You can find HomeFront Sitrep on Apple, Amazon, Spotify, or wherever you find your favorite podcasts. You can also check out HomeFront Sitrep's YouTube channel.
Buckle up, the show is starting. Welcome, everybody, to a Monday edition of HomeFront Sitrep. How is everybody doing? Gunny, how are you, sir?
Dude, if I was any better, I'd be you.
I don't know.
Nah, man, I had a great day today. We've had something in the works for the past couple of years for the skydive team, and finally was able to bring that to a head today. So the steering committee went down to Jay Mattingly, and we did our own blend for the skydive team. So bottles are going to be I think 150 once they get produced, and a portion of that will go back to the skydive team to help provide a jump for nonprofits that may want one but can't fully afford our cost. So in the past, our sponsor has picked up that bill, and to try to help offset them and that cost, we're gonna step up and try to do things on our own a little bit, and to help please our sponsor and finance and everybody like that. So man, it's a beautiful blend, great flavors. It's a 5-barrel blend. So yeah, I'm excited. We've already sold like 6 cases already, and we just did the blend today.
Dang.
Yeah. So
I guess we'll have to do maybe another podcast up there. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, July 26th is going to be our release. It's a week and a half prior to our Warrior Weekend to Remember. So, we'll have a lot of teammates come into town for that to help facilitate. Of course, it's our nonprofit, so our weekend. So hopefully we can sell more there. But yeah, dude, I'm extremely excited about this bottle. Like I said, it's been 2 years in the making, and finally able to make it happen. And couldn't be more happy for the team. And on the team, it's all about firsts and experiences, right? And obviously this is not a first for me because I've got two sitting here beside me that we released the past couple of weeks. But it's a first for the team. It's a first for a lot of people on the team. So a lot of people owe me. That's all I'm saying. And if any team members are watching, they understand.
Yeah, definitely. So, yesterday was a great day for Father's Day. Had, other than the restaurant debacle, which we're not going to get back into.
Heck no, we could go an hour just on that.
Yeah. I mean, definitely. It was like Julie said, the poor server. And that was nice to her. I mean, I would even like even get stern, like break out my Marine Corps voice or anything. I just was like, hey,
no
this is
knife
not
hands.
what I ordered, Yeah, no knife hands. I didn't break it out.
Yeah.
But it was just a great day. I got to spend it with the wife and kids, and we got our Jesus on in the morning, and just had a great time. And then Julie's birthday's coming up, so I've already got that planned, and her mom and her. So Julie's mom's the 22nd, and then Julie's is the 24th of June. So we're going to celebrate both of them together. So that's going to be fun. And then 2 weeks later, my birthday, July 7th. So which I get to celebrate mine around Independence Day. So it's always going to be fun.
Mike is the 5th,
no,
so
man,
he always has fireworks for his birthday. It's one of those things.
There you go. I like it. Julie said, well, I wish Sam and April could have came. I was like, Sam was still at the distillery long after I left. I said he was super busy for the rest of the day.
It was crazy.
So no, man. And then my nephew was texting me all night long last night, because he's deployed. And Iran was shooting rockets at the bases over there. Camp AJ is where I think it's where my nephew is Camp AJ. I'm not sure. There's 2 bases that he could be at, and I was talking with Ty from Triple Threat, and he can track it. And the iron wall, is that what it's called?
The iron curtain.
Or the iron curtain, it was shooting down the rockets and stuff. So I don't think anything actually landed on the base, but I think they were in the process of maybe evacuating non-essential personnel and stuff like that. So I was up until about 1 o'clock last night, chit-chatting with my nephew and just making sure everything was good. Because we got to remember all of our service and women that are deployed. Everybody can do it on Red Friday, but it's every day. You got to remember them every day. So definitely do that. My wife was watching. I do the Marine. But tonight, I'm super excited for the guest tonight. I don't remember where I found them at. It might
or they found you, TikTok. Or however it worked, right?
Yeah, so it might have been on TikTok. It might have been on Facebook, and I started looking into them, and man, they're in upstate New York. They do service dogs. Let's see. Let's go up here to the home programs. And talk about it a little bit of what they do. So they have a canine program, peer plus family, career services, culinary, enrichment, and then the SSG Fox grant. So there's a grant as well that they have. So we're going to get into all of that with our guest tonight, Mr. Ryan Woodruff, here in just a few minutes, and talk about Clear Path for Veterans. I'm super excited about it. Because when we did our meet and greet, or when I did the meet and greet, because you were traveling, they started out really small, and they focused on one program at a time, and then they finally found the property that they have now, and kind of expanded on that as well. So super, super great organization. So let's bring Mr. Ryan Woodruff up and get to know Clear Path for Veterans. Let's do this. Welcome to the show, sir. How are you?
I'm doing well, man. That was an incredible intro. I feel like I should be walking into an arena or something like that.
We try to make our guests feel special, my friend. So welcome and thank you for taking time out of your busy day to come on here and hang out with us for this hour and 15 minutes. Do me a favor and introduce yourself to the world of HomeFront Sitrep if you don't mind.
Sure, and I'm glad to do it. You guys doing a podcast like this is so important, just to continue to spread the message. So my name's Ryan Woodruff. I serve as the CEO of Clear Path for Veterans. I still haven't gotten comfortable with that title yet. I've only been in this position for about 8 months. Prior to my time with Clear Path, I was a Marine. I served in the infantry, a couple deployments to Iraq in the 05-08 era, and I left the Marine Corps in 09. And during that time, I went through my own struggles, really went through all of the challenges with transition, trying to figure out where my place was going to be in the world. And later on, several years after I got out, I found Clear Path, and I started working there as a peer mentor and just started to navigate all the different programs and services that they're doing, not only as a member of the staff, but as a veteran that was experiencing this transition, and really just got to experience like everything that they were doing. And I immediately, drank the Kool-Aid and was like, okay, I can get down with what you're putting down here. Makes sense. Every community should have something like this. I think it's important. It's not just the formulaic, legalistic steps and taps that we're all used to. It's an actual enduring community that's walks shoulder to shoulder with veterans wherever they're at, and no matter what they're experiencing. So it's great to be here.
Awesome. Yeah, no, one, you're a Marine. That already puts you up here with being gunny. But no, man. So you started out as a peer mentor with the program. So you were going through the program, and then you became a peer mentor. What was that like? I know for like me, when I got out in 2004, I lost that sense of purpose, that sense of camaraderie, and I'm sure Gunny was the same way, because I think most veterans, and unless they get lucky and fall into another organization, say like police, fire, EMS, first responders, where they have that community there, and there's already a lot of veterans there. But like me, when I got home, I started working in pest control. There was not a lot of veterans in pest control at the time, so I didn't have that sense of community. I didn't have that tribe that we talk about, and I didn't have that purpose, because as a squad leader in the Marines, you got 12 guys underneath of you, and here you are delegating to your team leaders and making sure that field days on Thursday, make sure everything's good to go with your squad and stuff like that. And so, what was it like for you when you transitioned out, and then you found Clear Path for Heroes? What was it like for you?
So much to unpack there. I mean, starting my job as a peer mentor, I'll say, for one, it was humbling. There's so much I didn't know about the unique challenges that veterans face, especially in rural communities, underserved communities. It was what I thought what I was going to be entering into was an ecosystem where I was navigating the world with other veterans just like me. And what I found was that I'm working with people that are homeless, couldn't keep a roof over their heads, couldn't put groceries on the table. A lot of people that were in crisis, facing substance abuse. And it was also like an opportunity for me to kind of take a look in the mirror, because here I was serving as a peer mentor, claiming to be an ambassador for veteran support. And I was going through a lot of my own issues at the time too. You wouldn't be able to tell because I didn't, wear it on my sleeve, but deep down, I knew, like, at my fabric, I was struggling. And that's honestly for me what prompted some of the big changes that I made during the transition. See, when I got out as an infantryman, I thought like law enforcement was going to be the path. And most vets know how that goes. It's kind of a roll of the dice. You go down the civil service route or federal law enforcement. It's very competitive, and you get it or you don't. And the wait in between exam periods and all of that can be a long time. I made the mistake of being honest on an integrity test, and they told me, "Hey, appreciate your honesty, but this isn't going to work out." because, you know, if I'm just going to be, I think it's really important to be completely candid with everybody. They asked, have you smoked marijuana since the time you got out of the Marine Corps? I said, yeah, I did once or twice, but nothing that's become a habit. And right then and there, they're like, you're cut. And I was like, wow, really? I just ran circles around all these other cadets that were trying to go through the PT test. I mean, I've seen combat, but I'm not qualified because I told the truth on an integrity test. But that's just the way it went, right? So I was like, I got to make a new plan. Like, this isn't going to work out. I'm not going to get into law enforcement, and I'm sure that record's going to carry with me. So actually what I did was I went to school for forestry and natural resources, thinking like, what's the next best thing? Did a lot of time out in the field, love the outdoors, find something healing about being in the woods. So I ended up going to forestry school and landed a job as an arborist and working with small crews, trimming trees, takedowns, you know, everything you can imagine, continuing to break my body because that's what we need as infantrymen coming out and just to make things much worse, compounding it, carrying 400-pound logs out of a backyard for 12 hours a day. And, you know, it was challenging, but I liked the work. I've always loved hard work, and the fact that I was working with small teams just kind of, it worked, right? It like translated from everything I did in the Corps to what I was doing in the outside. But I couldn't see myself doing that for 20 years. My spine was just crippled. I was going to the VA, really having some issues, and they were saying like, your spine looks like what we would see if you were 70, but at 32 years old, this isn't right. You gotta make a change, or, you know, you're just going downhill physically. And that was humbling too. So and all the while, I'll be honest, like, I was struggling with alcohol. I hadn't faced some issues with my brain health. Didn't find community, no tribe. It was gone. I try to keep in contact with guys I served with, but we all split up, living all over the country, and we're all doing different things and just trying to find a career. Got married and started a family after several years, but, you know, I realized that some of my woundedness was being brought into my marriage. And right around the time I found ClearPath, or ClearPath found me, is when I started to look at that inward reflection. Serving as a peer mentor, again, it was an eye-opener just to see what's going on out there in the veteran community locally in New York State, and what can I do to make some significant change here. All the while, again, I'm like, who am I? What have I done to be qualified to help another veteran get to where they're going? But I think it's the fact that I had gone through all that is what uniquely qualified me to do that work, because I could sit down across the table from somebody and have coffee with them and really identify with some of those hard times that they're experiencing, and maybe go buy them groceries or bring them a food package or just provide some camaraderie for a couple of hours when they didn't have a social network or a support system. So, that first year, I'm not going to lie, it was ebbs and flows for me, but there was a point at which I put a stake in the ground and I said, all right, if I'm going to do this, I gotta wear the uniform correctly, and I got to make some changes within myself. And that's when I started to really just lean into a lot of different things to start to get better.
Yeah. So I was a peer mentor for a large nonprofit, and I was still broken at the time, and I was roughly the same. You know, how can two broke people fix each other, right? How can I, being broken, try to help somebody else? And, there was a lot of things I could relate to, but then there were some other things that I couldn't relate to, right? I never went down the hole of drugs, but alcohol, different story, right? I mean, I spent a lot of money on alcohol, dealing with the demons. So I could relate there. I came home, I was 2 weeks from the time I got my med board paperwork to the time my retirement hit was 2 weeks. So that hit me hard, 14 plus years as a Marine. And now I have nothing, but I come home to a wife and kids in a house that's been established because of my wife. But I didn't have anything to fall back on. And I too tried going the police route. And you mentioned the 3-letter word, right? And it's Ooh, PTS? Yeah, buddy, I don't know. Right. So, I mean, federal air marshals, Customs and Border Protection, everybody, as soon as that popped up, they're like, ooh, I don't know. So, but then I fell into where I'm at now, and going into my 11th season working for a professional skydive team, and we tour the world and, bring patriotism everywhere we go, even to communist Japan. So it's one of those things, right? You have to find what works for you and what fulfills you, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I tell everybody else. What works for me may not work for Ryan, may not work for Willis. But if you follow your passion, I promise you there's something there that will work for you.
I couldn't agree more.
It does take a little bit of time. And I too also try to go to the LMPD, which is the Louisville Metro Police Department here locally, or 20 minutes from me. I was living in Louisville at the time, and working as pest control, going to school at night because so here I am. I got 6 years in the Marine Corps as an infantry guy, which LMPD, you could either have military service or college. So I was going to college to get my criminal justice degree, and going through the process. I went through the process 6 times to be a police officer because, like you guys, it was the only thing that I thought that I could do, that I had skills that would transfer from the military. And struggling going through that. Of course, the Marine Corps told me I was an alcoholic. Like after my first wife, I got her cheating on me. I was drinking a fifth of whiskey at night, and the Marine Corps said, "Hey, you're an alcoholic. Let's send you to detox." So I went to detox for 60 days in the hospital, and after coming back, I didn't touch alcohol. So when I got out and I was going through the process, it was so hard to not fall back to the bottle, to help combat. Luckily, I had my wife, if she's still in here, she was my girlfriend at the time, a, a very good support system. And she helped me get through that. And she'll tell you the college degree that I got, half of it's hers because she helped me with most of it. Because I'd literally be, come home from working in pest control, and be at the computer getting homework done, and I'd fall asleep at the computer because I'm so wore out. I was burning it on both ends, and uh, I'm most Marines, most service members, we internalize everything. We don't externalize. Like the struggles that we're dealing with, we keep it within ourselves, and um, that's why you have to find that tribe, that community, and you found it with Clear Path for Veterans. So let's talk about some of the programs within. So we've already kind of touched on the peer and family, which I love. So do you want to expand on the peer and family program first, since we already kind of went there, and then we'll move
Sure.
into the other one?
So we have peer mentors all over New York State. We do a regionalized approach where a regional manager will cover several counties within a catchment area, and they'll have a couple peer mentors that work under them. They're all mobile, so if veterans can't get to us, we can get to them. And we'll navigate everything from basic needs, like housing, employment, career services, to folks that are going through retirement and looking to get into meaningful employment. We have separate programs for that as well. So it's really just, again, it's about meeting the veteran where they're at, identifying exactly what's going on, try to get to know them, to build a relationship, build trust, and then figure out what's next for them. So, and it can be anything. We do partner with another nonprofit called Soldier On, and they specifically work with at-risk and homeless veterans. Once they get housed, they'll connect them directly with our peer mentors to keep them housed. So, we'll do financial planning, budget planning, try to find meaningful employment for them, whatever that might be, and just get into a cadence where we're checking in regularly. I think it's real. What the most important thing about that is that, like, they don't have to drive to us. We're getting to them wherever they're at. So A lot of these rural counties that don't have like veteran services embedded within them, or if they do, they're very institutionalized and veterans aren't getting what they need. Our peer mentors are on the road every day and they're just driving out and getting to them. We get a lot of word of mouth referrals. We get referrals from the VA. We get referrals from other nonprofits. We have great relationships with higher education. So we're working with veterans that are already enrolled in college. That's something that I could have benefited from, truthfully. Just to sit down and talk with somebody about like, what's realities here? Should I even be pursuing this degree, or am I wasting my time? Because I'm sure I could have avoided a lot of, pitfalls, money, and likewise, and just got into something that would make a little bit more sense. We tend to make agreements as veterans about like what we can and cannot do. And you're right. Like, we compartmentalize a lot of that. And I think we thrive in dark places, but we like to be there alone. And it's no different than what we see within the peer community too. A lot of these guys, they either are just getting out or they've been out for 30 or 40 years and they're living in a mobile home and somewhere in the middle of nowhere, and they're not getting into their community. So it's in part like we're trying to help them by bringing community to them. We'll bring them to our campus. So we talked a little bit about the property, but we have a 78-acre property in the middle of, it's rural New York. When people think of New York, they think of New York City. We're like, New York's a big state, right? There's more cows out here than there are people.
Yeah.
Seriously. So, and that's family support too. So we'll offer everything in equal terms to a family member, because it's what's good for the caregiver, spouse, or kid is going to be good for the veteran too. So if there's something that we can do to help them find employment or financial stability, we're going to work as much with them as we would the veteran themselves. So I think that's important, just to have like an all-inclusive approach to whether you're the veteran or the family member. We're going to provide you with a level of support. We'll do target events and different things to bring what we do at the campus out into these rural communities. So one of the things that we do is we offer a weekly canteen, is what it's called. Canteen is, you may have heard of it, but it's a term that was used back during World War II in North Platte, Nebraska, when service members were returning home from war. The community welcomed them home with a home cooked meal, food, community. And we replicate that on our campus, and we'll have between 150 or 300 veterans there every week and their families. And so we'll bring that into different communities too. So if these veterans are like 2 hours, 3 hours away from our base of operations, we take it on the road. We'll do a mobile canteen. We'll set up it at a Legion or a VFW or just a partnering facility that will host us and put on a complimentary meal for veterans and their families. But yeah, peer support, family support is all about connection. You never know, somebody could be financially stable, but struggling with dark thoughts and just need somebody to connect with and talk to. Yeah. And there's a lot of value in that.
So what I like about that program is you guys travel. If the veteran can't make it to you guys, you go to where the veteran is. Because there's a lot of organizations out there that says, hey, we're here to help, but you have to come to us. And there's some veterans out there that can't get out of the house because when they're in a wheelchair and it's not ADA compliant, they don't have a wheelchair ramp, or they don't have the means to get there.
Or they're just at a point where they don't want to leave the house.
Right.
It's that.
And then plus you focus on the families. There's a lot of organizations out there that only focus on us as vets, whoever the vets are. They don't worry about the family. And I was married, didn't have kids when I was in. My wife currently and my daughters I didn't have them when I was in the military. So they're dealing with dad's PTS, my hypervigilance, my anxiety, and everything else that I got going on. And there's not a lot of organizations locally that will focus on the family aspect of things too. So I agree with you. I think the model of, going to where the veteran is and also focusing on the family, that should be nationwide, if you want my honest opinion.
Yeah, two cool things they're doing too is we, when it comes to employment and career development, we do it's called SmartWorks GPS. We have this career survey we didn't develop it. We had some expert develop it, but it's a aptitude test to figure out, it's not the ASVAB, but to figure out like what would be best for you in terms of employment based on how you answer these questions. Gives you a couple different career fields to consider. We partner with employers across the state, sometimes nationally, to connect veterans directly to the HR department and give them a little bit of a heads up on employment. We'll do the same thing for family members. And this year we adopted a new program called Operation Socrates. It falls under peer support. What we do there is it's a DoD skill bridge program. So active service members that are pending separation, that are looking to get into the K through 12 teaching field, we have MOUs with schools in all 50 states right now. And so if somebody is looking to get into teaching and meets the educational requirements, we set them up with 180-day mentorships at the school to give them a little bit of a leg up in terms of like being offered a job once the mentorship is over.
Yeah.
And there's such a big need for teachers right now. So
it's
it's gotten a lot of popularity there.
Heck yeah, that's awesome. Gunny, got any questions about the peer?
I mean, upstate New York, right, is a broad term because it depends on, a lot of people is Syracuse, Buffalo, Utica, Finger Lakes area, Oswego. So regionally, where are you guys located in New York?
The campus is 13 miles east of Syracuse in a small town called Chittenango. We do have regional locations in the North Country, which is Watertown, out by Fort Drum. We're down in the Southern Tier, which is like Broome County, surrounding counties out in the Southern Tier of New York on the Pennsylvania border. We're in the Hudson Valley, not as far east as New York City, but we are out in Orange, Dutchess County, and then out towards Buffalo as well. So we have literally people all over the state.
Yeah.
We haven't crossed into the capital region yet, so we don't have any boots on the ground over there, but we get referrals often from the capital region, and we're still going out there and deploying people to provide services. The difference between where we're at and where we could go with that is actually hiring a regional manager out there. So in the future, that's the hope.
Very cool.
So I was talking with a female. Her name is Charisse. Her dad is a Vietnam vet, and they live in Vermont. And she's like, "Well, we can't find veteran service organizations in our area because we're so rural that they have to travel like 4 or 5 hours to even find like a VFW or a Legion post, and then to the hospital as well. The VA hospital, they have to travel. So I like that you guys have satellite campuses outside of your normal operation, where if somebody's in the Southern Tier, they could travel to you, or North Country, like you said, and then close, Syracuse there. That's awesome.
Yeah.
It takes a village too. I mean, we have resource partners all over the state, right? I mean, like, so if we can't do something, or if there's somebody out in Vermont that calls us and it's like, hey, I'm looking for help in this area. Can you at least help me navigate to what I'm looking for? If it's benefits or whatever, we have a partner list. And again, we don't duplicate services. Like if it's not in our core offerings, we're looking to those in the community that are doing it and doing it really well. And we have a vetted partner list called our Summit Group. And that's a compilation of nonprofits all over New York State and beyond that come to us, present some of their information, and then we add them to this list, and we use them as a part of our network.
Yeah, that's cool. Willis and I talk about that all the time, how some nonprofits don't want to work with other nonprofits because they think they're getting a piece of the pie or whatever. But I'm a firm believer, and so is Willis, that all the nonprofits need to work together, because like we talked earlier, what works for you may not work for me, right? And Clear Paths has a lot of things, but my thing's fishing, right? I want to be outside on a lake somewhere with a line in the water. That's my release. That's my reset. That's my time just to be at one with whatever I'm doing, right? And he mentioned culinary. I was like, man, I love to cook. I cook my butt off, But yeah, it's just one of those things, is just finding something that works for the person, the individual that's coming to you and say, hey, what you have to offer doesn't work for me, but I really like crocheting, right? Yep. And you may have that contact that says, oh, there's this ladies group that is, doing like, what is it, Quilts of Valor or something like that person may get into. So, and it's just cool that you guys have a list of nonprofits up in your region that you can say, okay, this is where you need to go.
Funny enough, we do crocheting. we actually last month we had a crochet workshop. It's one of our enrichment offerings, and really what we do there is we look to the community and see who's good at what, and can they do something at ClearPath for us. We also do we have a partnership with Project Healing Waters, and they come out and do fly tying every Friday. It's like the same group of old guys that go down to our wood shop and they set up and do tie flying or fly tying, and they'll have other veterans that have never done it. Like my first immersion to ClearPath, they're like, you got to go tie flies with these guys. Yeah. Like I don't fly fish. I do now, matter. But I went down there and it was like a community.
Just the intricate assembly of even doing a mosquito, right? Or even just the little inchworm where you put your line and a little bit of this and then your green felt with your line and make the pump. I mean, just that and focusing on that, right? Because your focus turns to that instead of all this other stuff that's going on. And then you tie it onto your line and you go out there and flip it a couple times and you catch something on something that you built. There's no better feeling at all. At all.
See, that was right up Gunny's alley. Right
I could tell. I've only been recently doing the fly fishing, but you're 100% right. I'm not tying my own. I did that once, but I am going out. We have a nice watershed system out here. We have creeks everywhere, rivers, and you can literally walk a couple miles and hit the creek, and they stock it, so it makes it kind of easy. But it's great.
But you still have to have the proper action to be able to put that fly where you want it to go, to get downstream, to make it work, to stay on top of the water, to get that, entice that fish to open its mouth and come after it, right? Yeah. So you still have to put in work, even though they do stock it.
Yeah.
See, my type of fishing is going to a river bank, throwing my line in the water,
sitting there and drinking a beer.
Just sitting there and just enjoying the peaceful nature, or being on a boat, throw my line in. I'm not all about, doing a spin cast or anything like that. I just toss it in and sit and just, whether I'm by myself or I'm with, somebody else in the boat or just sitting on the bank and just having that conversation and building that friendship even deeper. I do love fishing. But my Gunny, he's fishing. That's his reset. Mine is outside. And you have, your property up where it's 78 acres, and veterans, if they want to come, go hike the property or whatever, they can do that, which is amazing. So here in Kentucky, we have Camp Hero, Kentucky, that has 160 acres. And then plus he leases land from Daniel Boone National Forest. So he brings veterans up there. They got a cabin on site. You could stay up there and go traverse the property itself. There's an old family graveyard at the top from the people that owned it from way back when. I think when we were up there, the oldest one that we found that was a grave marker was like 17 something. So it had been in that family for a really long time, and just being outside and outdoor is my nature. But I'm really interested in your canine program that you have, your service dog program. Let's talk about that program a little bit, because Sam has a service dog, Echo.
Awesome.
He's had Echo for a long time. I'm just now starting. Well, last year, the year before, I started my journey of getting rated. So I got a 60 or 50% rating for my PTS now. And I've talked to the wife about getting a service dog, and I know service dogs are amazing. They do amazing things, and they can be trained to do a little bit of everything. I heard of a boxer down in Florida. There's a button if the veteran doesn't respond after the paws or the nudge with the boot with the nose, the dog will actually go hit the button, and the button will call the police and fire and EMS to come to the house to help rescue the veteran or save the veteran. So service dogs are amazing. Now let's talk about your service dog program that you guys have.
Yeah, there's so much to discuss in that. I mean, when I mentioned that I started to step into healing myself, it was with the canine program at ClearPath. And at the time it was much different than the way it is now, but it was through that experience that I discovered an affinity that I didn't know existed. And one that was dog training. I became absolutely, probably like to an unhealthy point, obsessed. I loved it so much. Just the experience of, having this mutual connection with an animal and to train them. There's so much that you can learn about yourself through that process. It's incredible. I mean, in my experience, I didn't end up with a service dog. Actually, I ended up getting placed with a dog through a owner trainer model in 2016 that did not have the qualities to become a full-fledged service dog. And I learned that honestly, I learned it pretty quickly, but about 6 months into the training program, I told the staff, like, this ain't going to work. This dog that wants to kill people comes close to me, to be honest with you. Now, what I didn't know that I know now is, one, it was a shelter model, the program that we had early on from 2011 to about 2018. And this dog was super impressionable. Everything that I was experiencing within my mental head space was running right down the leash. And when we adopted her, she was super social friendly, loved everybody. And after 6 months of training, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference between her and a military working dog. She's a black shepherd, pointy ears. I love training with her, but I sat down with our founder, Melissa Spicer, and she is a trainer by trade and has been doing it her whole life. And she's like, look, this is going to be hard for you to hear. It's like that dog is feeding off of everything you got going on right now and is providing you a mirror of your inner emotional state. And it's a disaster, and you got to do something. If you want to be successful in this, you got to start getting better. And I learned so much about, one, I wasn't ready for this program. I mentally wasn't there yet. And two, I learned a lot about dogs in and of themselves, and perhaps in my own experience, how I didn't want that to happen again to another veteran. What could I do differently? I became a dog trainer. I went through a professional school and did that. I went to several of them, but it's a lifelong learning journey. It never stops, kind of thing. Yeah. I went through that, and I started to travel a little bit, and I ended up attending a conference put on by Assistance Dogs International down in Bethesda, Maryland, hosted by an organization called Warrior Canine Connection. It does incredible work. Been doing it as long as we had at the time, started in 2011, but they just had much different dogs, right? I saw a lot of labs, a lot of Goldens. I'm like, okay, so we got the shelter model. Doesn't mean it doesn't work, but this is what these guys are doing. And the whole conference was about service dogs for post-traumatic stress, right? And like, what are the best practices? How to do this? What do you need to take into account? What kind of dog should you be placing with these veterans? What do you need? What kind of questions should you be asking before you enroll them into your programs? My mind was blown. I mean, I learned so much through that experience, and I came back with just so much knowledge that all these nonprofits came together and was willing to just open arms, share everything. And for me, that was a moment to just change everything. Not because I wanted to remove everything that we had done up until that point, but I just knew that we could do better. And every veteran has a different story, and we need to have a dog that's compatible with such a wide diversity of different symptoms and comorbidities. It's not just PTSD, so much more than that. So we started a track to become accredited by Assistance Dogs International, for one, which took 4 years, and we did get accredited. We started a puppy development program where we actually breed dogs, and we actually work with breeders across the country that are breeding for purpose. So the big thing that I heard in this conference was purpose bred, purpose bred, purpose bred. I'm like, okay, I know Harley, my dog, was certainly not purpose bred. She's a street rat. She was wandering the streets of Texas trying to survive, similar to like myself as I got out of the Marine Corps. And those two things didn't really work out really well. And so I just started to incrementally change. Actually, I shut the program down for 6 months and closed shop for a while and just looked at how can we elevate? How can we change the model? And over the course of 4 years, we moved from that model to a internationally accredited organization through ADI. We provide service dogs all across the country. It takes 2 years for us to train them. One of the things that we retained from previous models, we still offer an owner trainer program. So veterans that have their own dogs that they feel would be good for service, we'll give them a shot. We put them through a 6-month program, starting with a temperament test, just to make sure. I always tell people when they come in, like, just take the idea of service off the table for a moment when we look at your dog. Like, let's just see what we're working with.
Yeah.
And we'll give them an honest shot. And if they can meet the criteria, then we'll put them on that career track. But similar to me, I wasn't meant to be a cop. Some dogs aren't meant to be service dogs. Like, you got to find the right career for the dog. And it's really important that you do so and you're honest up front, because it can be stressful on the other side of that. If you have a dog that doesn't want to navigate the public space with you, or has fear or inhibition, or, confidence issues around people that they're unfamiliar with, why continue to immerse that animal into that environment? Yeah. It's not going to help you with your PTSD. I can tell you that.
Right.
Yeah. It can help you. It can be an ESA at home, emotional 100%. Support animal at home, but not a service dog. And my dog is a rescue. She's a pit, and couldn't be a better match for me. And we're actually going to New York on Friday to Newburgh. So the National Purple Heart Hall of Honor, they expanded their museum there. And one of the things they did is they have a recovery section, and Echo's initial vest that she trained with, and then just a little blurb about her and I are in the hall. So I'm taking her there for the first time before, she gets to that point where I'm retiring her and she's not traveling anymore. So yeah, we'll be up in Newburgh Friday and Saturday. That's for incredible. That. But they had another dog that came in right behind Echo that they were going to train for a service dog. And they're like, man, not even for a therapy dog, but an ESA, absolutely, all day, every day ESA. But people don't understand that they don't get the same access, right, as a service dog or even as a therapy dog. So it's just one of those things, and that's when you see a lot of people just throwing the service dog patch on there to bring their pup wherever they want to go.
Which does a lot of damage for handlers like yourself and people out there that are doing it legitimately. And I always say too, like, it doesn't matter what kind of breed it is, really. It's they either got it or they don't. Training helps a lot. Nature helps a lot more, but training helps. And I just enrolled a Staffordshire Terrier into the program a couple months ago. It's one of the best dogs I've ever seen. Yeah. Incredible. Social, obedient, neutral around other dogs. And if it works, it works. And the biggest challenge with us is a lot of the breeders that we work with that are doing them for purpose specifically are breeding, labs, Goldens. Yeah. So a lot of the dogs that you see coming out of our program are labs and Goldens. The flip side of that is I tell people, like, our dogs are trained to facilitate social interaction. And so, like, one, you're going to be the center of attention. You go out into public with a yellow lab or a golden retriever, the dog,
kids and women, period.
100%. All the time. But what does that do for you, right? It helps you integrate into your community because, well, I'll be honest though, like, sometimes you have not so great confrontations. A lot of the times you have somebody that knows what they're doing. They'll ask you some questions. They'll, talk to you before they talk to your dog and say, maybe, can I pet your dog? And, like, that's the way it should be. It's not always the way it happens. Yeah. However, like, these collisions are helping veterans integrate back into society, because otherwise they're just invisible. They're walking around and they're going to avoid people. You go into one of these grocery stores at, traffic hour, and there's going to be a lot of people, and they're going to come up and talk to you and ask you questions. It sucks at first, but it helps over a long period of time for sure.
Yes, for sure.
So there's Dogs Helping Heroes here is one of the organizations that I've done a lot with volunteering wise and stuff. And they have the rescue model, but the thing with the rescue model is, I think they said like 40-something% of the dogs won't make it through like the first stage of becoming a service dog. And I was like, man, that's crazy. But if you get a dog young enough, you should be able to train it. But like you said, it all depends on the temperament of the dog.
It's always a roll of the dice, to be honest with you. I mean, I've done it enough. I've raised enough puppies. I got 2 of them downstairs right now, and you start to learn so much about like what you got is what you get. Like you can change so much, but they have a home base. You can train a dog to do amazing things, but once you place them and they're going out into their community, they're going to regress back to home base. And you got to know what home base is. And
that K9 good citizen test is a good baseline to start. And because you have to go and do your public access and all your training there.
Yeah.
And if your dog isn't working there, it's not going to work anywhere.
100%. Now with task and things like that, so we're training these dogs to specifically perform these different behaviors that are aligned with the unique challenges with a lot of the veterans we're working with are struggling with, right? And so when we're doing the interview process, I'm not the one asking these questions. We have somebody that's a professional in the mental health space that does this, but they're asking these questions based on some of the symptoms that present themselves that are correlated with their post-traumatic stress, traumatic brain injury, or other issues that they're struggling with. We also involve their support system and start asking things like, if anxiety is an issue or panic attacks, what are the things that are happening just before that happens?
Yeah.
Are you bouncing your knee up and down? Are you twisting your wedding band? Are you touching your face? Like, what are the self-soothing coping mechanisms that you do that will trigger that thing from happening?
That's mine right there.
Easiest thing to do is you take that picture and you can train the dog to perform a specific task based on that. So we do that over time. Usually 6 months prior to bringing the veteran in, we have a pretty good understanding of who's going to be in the next class. So we're training different cohorts of dogs based on the veterans we're bringing in. So they're tailor-made. And when the veteran comes into our program, we'll have like 2 or 3 dogs that we'll test them with just to see who's going to be most compatible, because there's no online test that's going to help me see that unless I get them in a room together. I can actually see the magic happen.
It's that interaction, that first interaction between the dog and the human. Yeah. And the dog will tell you right away, yes, this is my person, or no, this is not my person.
Right.
And it's crazy how to see that happen. And when that happens, it's like, dude, that dog just rejected him hard. But that next dog, and it almost looks the same, right? Because you guys, like you said, you're doing labs and Goldens, and you can have from the same breed, but that next dog is right there, and that's the person that dog is meant for, or and it's crazy to watch that happen.
Yeah, I've seen like videos where they put the veteran in a room and then they let 4 or 5 dogs in that room at one time, and you could tell which dog goes directly to that person and won't leave that person's that side, and it's just like that's his dog right there, and it's just it's mind blowing. It's kind of like horses, horses will tell you too. I've done a lot with equine therapy, and you can walk up to a bunch of horses, and most of them will move away from you, but you'll have that one that comes up to you, and that's your horse. That's the one that you need to work with. So. No,
dog's sense of smell, man, is 40 times, if not more, greater than that of our own. So if you think that you're not emitting like cortisol or stress hormones when you're not feeling right, that's the science behind it. Dogs pick that up. I mean, pet dogs pick that up. I tell people often, I usually explain how like a dog's intuition is so incredible, right? They'll do something to pick up on the nuances and the behaviors that you're doing, even pet dogs. I have a pet Dutch Shepherd at home, and he knows when I pick up my phone, I go into disassociation mode, right? And he comes up and flips it out of my hand, like hard. I mean, the thing goes flying across the room. And he's just looking for social interaction. He knows that I'm going to go into a zone when I pick up my phone, and he's trying to connect with me. My encouragement is to people that experience that is don't get pissed off at your dog, like ask yourself what they're trying to tell you.
Yeah, I had an Australian Shepherd that we had since a pup. And before my injury, there were certain things that he would do, but after my injury, he just switched 180 degrees and no training whatsoever. But if he sensed anxiety or stress or, anger, he would come and he would nudge my arm, and I'd be like, Logan, stop. And then I realized what he was doing. He was trying to take my focus off of whatever was stressing me out and put it to him. and he wouldn't stop until he wedged his way in and laid on my lap and forced me to pet him. And he wasn't trained, but just that dog intuition just did it for him, and it was just crazy to watch that transition for him. And we had, moved from Kentucky to North Carolina. A year later, I get injured and we're moving into a new home. So he had 2 major moves plus my injury. And with all that stuff going on, his focus turned from being, an Australian herding dog and herding the other 2 dogs in the yard to taking care of dad. It's just that switch, how it happened. It was crazy.
So I had a boxer. She was a rescue. We got her. He was probably 6 months old when we got her. And this is well before I started going to the VA and stuff. And I'd sit on the couch. She would automatically come up and lay right on my feet. Like that was her spot. She wouldn't go to my wife. She wouldn't go to my kids. And if I got to the point where like my anxiety was building or something like that, she would actually get up from my feet, get up on the couch, lay her head on my leg, just so I'd pet her, just to get my mind off of things. And she never was trained or anything. And I tell my wife all the time, I said she was the best dog because she never barked unless I was roughhousing with her. That was the only time she would bark. But she was always there under my feet or up in my lap, depending on what mood I'm in. So dogs are amazing. I love your guys' program. I want to talk about the culinary program because you have so much that you guys do with ClearPath for veterans. Culinary is another big one. I know we only got maybe 10 minutes left. So let's talk about the culinary program because we kind of touched on it a little bit, but you do so much more with the culinary program. So let's talk about that real quick.
Yeah. So when we first opened up ClearPath, it was a underdeveloped. Well, it was a location in disrepair. I mean, it was a golf lodge and it had just been vacant for a long time, but it had a commercial kitchen. And so like they completely renovated that. And now it's just like state of the art commercial kitchen. We'll have anywhere between 30 and 60 volunteers working in the kitchen with the staff, and they're putting on meals for veterans every week. So the canteen is the staple of what we do within our culinary program. Every single Wednesday throughout the year, we'll have anywhere upwards of 300 veterans and their families on our campus enjoying this complimentary meal. And it's not a service that you would see like at the rescue mission. It's not a Samaritan Center service. It's just to bring community together through good food, sit at the table and break bread together. So that in and of itself has been just a game changer because it's very low bar. People come to ClearPath to experience for the first time at Canteen. They get to experience this incredible meal, talk with people they've never talked to before, meet other veterans, find community. And we do that every week. Aside from that, they're bringing it mobilely, right? So what we're doing on the campus every week, they have a food trailer, which they'll take out to locations all across New York State to basically replicate what we're doing at the campus. Hard to do that, but they've got it down pretty much to a science at this point. We got a lot of veterans that are just volunteering in the kitchen and learning skills, culinary skills. So I would say I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that. There's a lot of veterans out there that find healing in cooking. And so a lot of them are connecting with our corporate chef and just learning the skills of the trade. The food's incredible. I mean, me talking about it doesn't do it justice. This weekend, we're having our red, white, and blue barbecue. It's our biggest fundraiser of the year. We don't do a gala or anything. We just do like a barbecue. And he puts on, the food is just incredible. I mean, he's got a big smoker outside, smokes all kinds of meat and does, I mean, it's probably nothing. It's not Louisville, Kentucky, but like he does pretty good.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. It's one of the highlights in this community. So people know about it. They all come, they have a great experience. They get the top of the line dishes from our culinary team. They get to experience the campus, meet with the staff, and food builds community. So, I mean, essentially that's what they're doing. I think we're just scratching the surface here. We do offer some more crisis services as part of our culinary support as well. So, there's a lot of community living centers across New York State that have veteran wings that they're just not getting out and doing anything. So we'll do what we call mini mobiles, where we take all of the food from Canteen, we put it into go containers, and we're bringing it out to these community centers as well. And then likewise, we have a food pantry where if there's veterans that just can't afford food, we're actually putting together packages and bringing it to them. And that takes up, I mean, that's a large part of what our peer mentors are doing too. We'll have anywhere between 1,000 and 1,500 unique service deliveries every month. And a lot of those are just delivering food to those that are struggling with food insecurity. So a lot of different things that they're doing. I think there's more that we could do just in the cooking space in general for like vocational training and that kind of thing. We've never turned a veteran down that comes up and says like, hey, I just want to, I talk to chef and I'm like, hey, my wife's birthday is coming up. She really likes shrimp riggies. Like, show me how to do it. And he'll just, I'll sit down with him for an hour and we'll cook up some shrimp riggies. And it's like best. I look like a hero coming in, even though chef pretty much held my hand through the whole thing.
Yeah.
But it's awesome, right? Like we got access to this incredible kitchen. We have a great room that overlooks the view. I mean, I really wish you guys could actually see the campus, because when you walk into our great room and see the view, it overlooks, forested woodlot with, you could see this lake that's, I don't know how many miles it is long, but you can see all of Oneida Lake. It's one of the Finger Lakes out in central New York. And that in and of itself is just, it's healing.
Yeah, that sounds like my kind of place. So, Gunny, we're probably going to have to take a road trip one of these days.
Please do.
We jump Watkins Glen almost every single year, so it's not too far from there.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to do a road trip. So
Watkins Glen just fell into our catchment area. Actually, we're doing some business with the county out there, and they want us to put a peer mentor out in Schuyler County, I think it's called. Yeah. So we're expanding out there as well.
Nice.
So
does your chef teach culinary courses?
Sometimes. I mean, we'll do like one-off events here and there throughout the year. We'll bring in, typically we'll do like a couples night where it's like a whole event where we'll bring them in and teach them how to make pasta. Those are intermittent throughout the year. We also do a lot of pie making during the Thanksgiving season, and Valentine's Day, he puts on like a very high-end dinner at no cost to veterans and their spouses coming to visit the campus. I mean, it'd be no different than you go into a 5-star restaurant. It's really incredible. They put on best food available. It's all paid for from grants and donations. So really pull out all the stops and try to just create like a incredible experience for a veteran and their spouse that otherwise would have to figure out like, where are we going to eat? How much money is it going to cost? And not everybody can afford that kind of thing. Yeah. And so we're offering it complimentary up at Clear Path.
Now I wish I lived in upstate New York.
Say that now.
Yeah. Right.
Until February comes around.
I'm from Maine originally, so I mean we get some of that weather anyway. I mean, I was home in April and it snowed on us like 4 inches, so it's like whatever. I mean, I get it. I mean, but it's a little bit different, Western New York than everywhere else. But yeah, central northern Maine, we get snow, we get wind, we get cold weather. So I've not been there for a real winter for a very long time. But yeah, I'm going to pass. I'm going to say pass. I'll come visit in the summer, spring, summer, fall. Yeah, you got me. But as soon as that first snowfall hits, I'm out.
Summer and fall are incredible. Everything else is kind of a suck fest.
Yeah. See, I love cold weather. Like the wife wants to move to Florida, and I'm like, you're moving me closer to the equator. I want to move to Montana or somewhere like that. That's where I want to go. I love cold weather because when we did our Bridgeport trip in the Marine Corps twice, and dude, I love Bridgeport. Up in the mountains when it's snowing, that was my jam. I loved it. So you bring on the cold. That's the way
I was raised in it. So no.
Yeah.
No.
Well, so Kentucky's so hit and miss with snow. Like there'll be 1 year we'll get a ton of snow, and then the next year we'll get a dusting. It's just like So anyway.
So if somebody wanted to get involved or donate, I mean, we've had the Clear Path #4 vets.com scrolling at the bottom of the page the entire time. Obviously the people that are listening can't see that. If people want to get involved or donate, would that be the place for them to go to learn more about Clear Path for Vets and try to get involved or donate or all the
Website's
above?
a great option, but you can always call the office as well. I tell people all the time, you're not going to call and get put on hold. You're going to get connected with the person immediately. You ask for Ryan Woodruff, they're going to redirect you to me. I'm going to pick up the phone and have a conversation with you. We're a medium-sized organization, but we're very much still grassroots. So, we really take it seriously when somebody's reaching out to connect with us. We have all the social platforms, LinkedIn, Instagram. I think we may have a TikTok. I don't know, to be honest with you.
I think you guys do. I think you guys do, because I think that's where I reached out to Dana. I think her name was Dana.
Yeah.
And she got me in contact with you. So I want to give Dana a big shout out. Dana, is it Dana Dean? Is that her
Dana
last name?
Dean. Yeah, she does incredible work for us. Facebook,
So,
all the event stuff is always going to be posted on the social media calendars, and you can get on our, they can get on the list, and you'll get emails every month talking about what we're doing and ways you can support and all of that. So a million different ways to get in contact.
heck yeah. Well, Ryan, we thank you for coming on here and hanging out with us for this hour and almost 10 minutes. It's been amazing. I think we just barely scratched the surface of what you guys actually do.
Yeah.
And I think this could go on for another 2 hours and we'd still only scratch the surface. So guys, ladies, gents, if you're out there, you're watching, you're listening, go to clearpath4vets.com. Go check out the website. If you want to donate, there's a donate button on there. It's on all the pages. So it's on the right-hand side, about middle way down. Click donate, or you can give them a call, or you can, there's emails on there too. So you can send emails if you want to send emails. Reach out to them. If you're in the upstate New York area or close by, drive up there and see the campus. Go on a Wednesday night, go to the canteen, enjoy camaraderie with other veterans. Go do it, because that's what you need to do. Like he said, it takes a village. So Ryan, Marine, thank you, Semper Fi. And we're going to drop you down real quick. And then we're going to end the show and we can chit chat at the end if you don't mind.
Yeah, sounds good. Thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate everything you're doing.
Hey, awesome. Thank you. Gunny, how was that, sir?
Dude, I think we could go on for another 3 hours and still only scratch the surface, right? I mean, because there's just so much that they have going on up there, and they're so involved. Community isn't even the word to say, right? In the state, they're so involved in their state, and having the different peer mentors out in the different areas that are kind of controlling their sector, and getting the vets and searching for the vets and the families, and taking care of everybody. And like I said earlier, I wish every nonprofit would just work with each other and just have that list of, okay, this is what we're doing, this is what you're doing, let me put you in this direction. All right. And they've partnered with some great, Project Healing Waters is, you hear about it everywhere, right?
Yeah.
And if it's your first time, you have to build your rod. Then you start going to tying the flies, and then you go out and fish. And it's just so much that is involved in that organization. And Clear Path for Vets is including them in what they're doing, and they're including Clear Path for Vets. And it's great to see those partnerships and relationships truly, going to work. And then there goes Willis. He just dropped out. I think his internet just crashed. All right. So it looks like it's just me sitting here running my suck. Yeah, I don't know where he's at. Well, I think Willis just dropped out. So I'm going to, gosh, no, I got it. Now he's back.
Dude, I guess the storm just flicked. It just went, I was like,
yeah. I was just getting ready to close out the show.
I was like, what the heck just happened there? But no, yeah. So what I like about, like you were saying, is they didn't want to reinvent the wheel. So they partnered with all these other great organizations locally to them, and then across the country, because he even said that they got organizations from across the country. And then, like I said, we barely even scratched the surface with the programs that they do offer up there. And man, I'm we definitely need to get up there and check it out and see what's going on. Um, just to tour the campus and have another podcast from there, and get some testimonies from some of the people that come to the
I
canteen.
want to do it from their lounge with that view behind
That
us,
view, yes,
right?
yes,
That Ryan was talking about. That's
yeah,
where we need to be.
and
I mean,
then
J
then
Matt
we
was
can shoot the
great
pitch.
with the bourbon and all that stuff, but having that view behind
Yeah.
you, I mean, come on, you can't beat that.
Well, we'd also have to take time to go fishing too while we're there.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, they got some nice streams and brooks and get rainbows in there. Come
Oh yeah,
on, come on. And then
I
we'll take it.
you know what?
We'll take it back and let the chef make us a 5-course meal.
I was going to say I don't eat fish now, but if I caught it myself, a rainbow trout, and the chef was cooking it, I'd probably try it.
Absolutely,
So
absolutely.
you'd have to. You have to. All right, Gunny. You want to let's take it out here. This is you, brother.
Yeah, you're not alone. You still have worth. You still have value. Surround yourself with people that are going to bring you up and not tear you down. And don't let the dark days win.
And then I found this in the silence of your struggles. Remember, though unseen, you are deeply held in the hearts of others. You are not alone. That's so powerful right there,
Yeah.
because we as veterans, we think we're alone most times. My wife is upstairs, and there's days I'm like, I can't tell her what's going on with me, but I can talk to a complete stranger. That's why we say this hashtag be someone's stranger. Listen, guys, we as humans, we're more apt to talk to a complete stranger than the ones we love the most. We have to break that stigma. So when you're out and about and you see somebody and it looks like they're having a bad day, go up to them, say, "Hey, how you doing?" And if they give you the red flag words, "I'm okay, I'm living the dream, I'm hanging in there," then you have to ask the next hard question. How are you really doing? And be ready for that conversation. Could be a 5-minute conversation, could be an 8-hour conversation. You have to be ready for that conversation. And don't try to fix the person, because sometimes we just want to get off what's on our shoulders just to get it, just
Yeah.
tell it to somebody. So don't try to fix, just listen.
Even Superman has his bad days,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Gunning, this is you. Want to take that?
I mean, Ryan said it earlier. I mean, Candace says it all the time, but Ryan said it earlier. It takes a village, right? And working with all those nonprofits and having those relationships is what it's all about, right? And it's the same thing with the individual person. Having people that you can reach out to that they're going to be there for you, or you're going to be there for them. And that's what it is. It's. I mean, it doesn't have to be New York City. It can be small town USA. And just your tiny group of people, and your villages are going to change all the time. People are going to come and go throughout your life.
Yep.
I mean, I don't live in Maine anymore. I've not been there for 28 years, but I can still go there and talk to guys and girls that I went to high school with.
And pick
I mean,
up where you left off.
they're still part of my village,
Yeah.
even though we've not really been around each other. So just
Yeah.
know that you have people out there that care about you.
Give a big shout out to our partners: Heroes Media Group, Reach Across America Radio, Veterans Voice Radio, Military United Podcast Streams, Elite Engraving, Same Flag, SameOath.com. Want to give them a big shout out. Go to HomeFrontSitrep.com. You can see all these great nonprofits, veteran singers, veteran business owners, comedians. All of these people are linked on our website. We have our hats on there from Elite Engraving. You can go in there and get you a hat. We have our shirts from Same Flag, SameOath.com. It says Marine It Down on it. It's a play on the KISS method. So Marine It Down. The good thing about those two things, partner with Elite Engraving and Same Flag, SameOath.com. At the end of the year, we're going to get 25% of all sales. From Same Flag, Same Oath, 25%. From Elite Engraving, 20%. So what Gunny and I have decided to do is we're going to take that check from Same Flag, Same Oath, put all these nonprofits in a wheel, spin it. Whoever it lands on gets that check. And then we're going to do the same thing with the check that comes from Elite Engraving. Another wheel, whoever it lands on gets that. It could be Clear Path for Veterans, or it could be Montana Warriors Underwater, or it could be Project Hope down in Florida, or wherever. It could be anywhere. Project
But
Zero.
whichever wheel we spin first, whoever wins that, we're taking that name off.
Yes.
And then doing the respin.
So yeah, so go check out homefrontsitrep.com, order your shirt, order you a hat. And when you get it, tag us. If you travel to Ireland, if you travel to Australia and you're wearing our hat, tag us and make sure you say, "Hey, I'm in Ireland." Like I did the Not Service Connected, which we're gonna have on the show. I was down in Myrtle Beach and I had his shirt on, the Camp Lejeune Drinking the Water one. And I tagged Tony Riggs, who's the founder of Not Service Connected, on it, and on Instagram and stuff like that. And he's like, "Dude, that's awesome." So I can't wait to have him on. So yeah, go check out homefrontsitrep.com. Gunny, it is that time of night, and I say this every time we get off with a great episode, that I hate to end it. I mean, literally, we said it. We could talk to Ryan Woodruff for hours about what he's doing at Clear Path for Veterans, and then we could talk to him about the Marine Corps, because we're all 03 guys.
Yeah.
So we could definitely talk to him about that as well. So, but it is that time of night, guys, and I hope everybody stays safe out there. And people are crazy. So, but like we always say on Homefront Sitrep, stay safe out there.
We got your 6.
Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed the show.
Suggestions and comments are always welcome.
Cannot wait to have another great show with y'all.
Don't forget you can find Homefront Sitrep on Apple, Amazon, Spotify, or wherever you get your favorite podcasts.
Stay safe out there. I got your 6.